Hey Tony, it's Friday, and first off, to answer your question of the week, nope. Nothing new has been going on here for months. I think quarantine started, and that was when the new stuff stopped. So obviously, Mass is still under lockdown. We're doing the best we can. It's just the way it is. Honestly, but it's been rough. I'm looking forward for quarantine to end. I think I've said this several times, but like it needs to end safely. And so far, I think Charlie Baker, the Mass governor's done a really good job, and I think Mass has done a pretty good job of everything. But as far as it goes, I could tell starting this past week, I've really become just more anxious, more ready for everything to stop. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, I it needs to be done safely. There's no other way about that. But I'm hoping that we'll be able to do it safely sooner rather than later. But I'm not holding my breath. It's been like this for like 2 months now, and I mean, Mass has done a pretty good job all in all, but we still have a long ways to go. In fact, actually, this week Charlie Baker just made wearing masks mandatory. Anytime you're outside or in a place where social distancing is impossible, masks are now mandatory. Now, I was at the store today and there were a few people who didn't have masks on, but the vast majority of people do. And it's all we can really do is just try and keep things as reasonable as we can. You'll notice some of the light changing in the background. I have something up on Twitch on TV, so you might see some like it might get really dark at one point, or really blue right now, or really green like it is now. It's kind of funny to watch the lighting change, but sorry, that was just a little bit of an aside because I found it pretty funny. So what I want to talk about this week is kind of going to be a big thing that I'm not going to have a lot of answers to because my videos don't tend to have answers. But I want to get a little bit of like a deep dive into the Punisher and some of the problematic issues with the Punisher. Now, full disclosure, I'm really fond of the Punisher storyline. I think he's an interesting character. I think that he is a good anti-hero. And I'm saying this all now because this week I finished Punisher Netflix series. I blasted through seasons 1 and seasons 2 the past couple weeks, and it's really well done. Now, Punisher has never been one of my favorite characters in Marvel. He just hasn't been. Like, I enjoy him as a character. I find his story interesting, and I find what he stands for interesting as well. But he as a character himself, I've never been super fond of. That was until the Netflix series, in which John Barenthal played Frank Castle brilliantly, and I've started to become a little bit more of a fan of the Punisher as a character after watching the Punisher Netflix show. So I'm not going to spoil anything because I know you have a Netflix account through us, and if you ever want to watch it, I definitely recommend it. It's definitely worth it. It's really good, but you definitely have to start watching. You got to start with Daredevil if you really want to get a good understanding of Netflix Frank Castle. But now most people are pretty aware of Frank Castle and the Punisher, in which he is one of Marvel's premier anti-heroes. I think him and Deadpool are probably the two most popular Marvel anti-heroes. And essentially he is a not good guy who kills a lot of bad guys, which when he first came out in the 70s was really kind of novel because Marvel heroes didn't kill anybody. And then they created the Punisher to really have someone else. He was supposed to be a one-off character for a Spider-Man comic, but he really resonated with people. And so he got his own series. And he's been a mainstay of Marvel since. So now the Punisher himself, like, he stands for vigilantism in comic books, which you see a lot of because superheroes are inherently vigilantes, but Punisher always took it to the next level because he was one of the few characters who would kill everyone who got in his way, which doesn't exactly leave a lot of lasting impact, a lot of lasting characters within your storyline, but it was still very popular. Marvel had a big hit on their hands, and that's why they kept producing more Punisher comics. And he turned into really like a pretty interesting character in his own right. So the Netflix series do a really good job of giving you the background on the Punisher, on Frank Castle, how he was a top tier soldier who ended up coming home and had his entire family killed in front of him during what he initially thought was a gang shootout. As you watch the Netflix series and you watch Daredevil and you watch Punisher season 1, a lot more gets revealed about the death of his family, and it helps make a stronger character, I feel, for the Marvel for the Netflix shows than he'd been in the past. So the one issue with the Punisher, though, is the one key feature of him is the fact that he is a vigilante who kills everyone who kills bad guys. And he's really gotten a new life amongst a lot of the alt-right, a lot of far-right conservative activists and things such as that. And it's very popular amongst the police population as well, particularly the Thin Blue Line police movement and the Blue Lives Matter, which is really problematic because Punisher himself is not someone who you're supposed to emulate. You're supposed to be distraught by him. You never root for him, but you don't root against him, and that's part of his character. Now the current writers of the Punisher series tried to kind of attack that a little bit, in which there was a limited series edition in which a number of police officers saw Punisher walking around, and they wanted to get his autograph, they wanted to get some photos with him. And then when he saw on the police car, he saw his Punisher skull. And he just flipped. He flipped it completely. In which, what he said I thought was really profound, and it was like, don't compare us. You swore an oath to defend people. I gave that up a long time ago. If you try and do like I do, I'm coming for you next. Which was the creators really trying to make it, because the Punisher is not supposed to be a hero. He's expressly not a hero. He's an anti-hero, someone who you're supposed to appreciate, if not understand and not like. And again, like the Netflix shows do a really good job of doing that, of making it so like you're not rooting for him, but you're not rooting against him, because the people he's going against are awful people, even if his methods are not correct. Now, season 2 kind of addresses a little bit more of the Punisher's impact on those around him. But season 1 is basically, they kind of re-origin story him a little bit compared to even how he was in Daredevil, which I had mixed feelings about, but I thought it turned out really well because it was a really good anti-hero story. And anti-hero stories are something that I've enjoyed for a long time, because you're not supposed to relate to them. You're not supposed to root for them. You're not supposed to really even like them, because by design, they are meant to be protagonists who don't have any heroic characteristics. And it's a really hard thing to do, particularly with a character like Punisher compared to like Deadpool, who Deadpool I'll root for because it's Deadpool. But Punisher is a lot darker, is a lot grittier, whereas Deadpool is just the king of random and the king of humor, which is why Deadpool has really resonated with a lot of audiences, because he's just funny. He's fun to watch, and you root for him against yourself because you're just like, oh, there goes Deadpool doing his Deadpool thing again. Whereas Frank Castle, you really you understand where he's coming from. You understand the oath he basically took of vengeance. But at the same point, you don't necessarily want him to succeed, because if he succeeds, then it means the heroes don't. Insofar as the heroes' positions of we don't kill, we protect it doesn't exist in the Punisher comics in the same way, because he's not a protector. He's a Punisher. So Tony, my question for you is, what's your opinion on some Marvel anti-heroes? Tony, I'll see you on Tuesday. Later, bro.